The first episode in my series of League Counter videos, in which I will be going through specific champions and seeing how they fare in a direct fight or a straight up fight against other champions. Now obviously there's a lot of things to consider when doing this because of rune pages, masteries, and just certain things about the way the combat is, how much health you have, and things like that. So it can't be completely accurate. However, I'm simplifying it as much as possible so that you can get a general idea of how well each champion does against the other ones. So for this episode, I'm going to be running Kha'Zix in the jungle, which means I will be starting out with a Hunter's Machete. I'll also be starting with potions. However, during the fights we are not using potions, and we also are not using buffs. The reason that we aren't using buffs is because depending on if you're starting on the top or the bottom and who you're playing, different people might grab different buffs, and so like I said, there's a lot of variables to consider, and I'm just trying to simplify it as much as possible. So here's a real quick look at the masteries that I'm running. I'm running 22, 5, and 3. Like I said, this could be different than some of the other stuff that other people run, but this is what I run specifically, so this is what I'm testing with. And then here is a look at the runes page that I'm using. I'm giving myself 12.7 armor, plus 5.1 armor pin, 11.5 additional damage, and 12.1 additional magic resist. In this video, I'm going to be testing against both AD and AP champions, which we'll be using different masteries and runes for. So the first one's going to be against Vi, and here is the masteries page that Vi is using. It's 21.9.0, so it's a little bit different than what I'm running. But like I said, it's all preference, so I figured I wouldn't bother with trying to get all this to be exact because all these things are going to differ based on the player, and you can't really control all these variables completely. Now here are the AD runes that Vi is using. He has 12.7 armor, 11.5 armor pin, 4.5 damage, 12.1 magic resist, and 2% lifesteal. So they're also a little bit different than mine, but like I said, there's a lot of variables to consider. So in the first clip here, we are going against Vi. Like I said, she has her W and her E. She's using her E to cancel her auto attacks as much as possible, and I have my Q and my W, and I'm doing the same with my Q, trying to cancel as soon as possible. And as you can see, Vi gets the kill on this first clip. So here is a second run at it, trying to do the same thing. I know that sometimes I may not activate the abilities at the exact same time. However, I try to make it as consistent as possible. In this one, you can see that I get the Q up to where I'm about ready to use it, but I still die before I'm able to activate it. Now, since Kha'Zix's passive works whenever he is in the bush, I'm doing one more shot where we try to fight in the bush. Now, it only triggers once because you don't lose vision of them if they're in the bush with you. And as you can see in this one, I'm just about ready to get the third Q off again. However, I'm not able to quite get it off and I die again. So in this next clip, we're going up against Udyr, who has his Q and his W. He starts out in his tiger form, switches over to his turtle form, and then as soon as he has the opportunity, he goes back into tiger form again. And as you can see, it's a very one-sided fight where Udyr takes out Kha'Zix. Now we run it again, except for this time we're doing it in the bush. The same thing with the Q and the W, going from tiger form into turtle form and back into tiger form, and even with the advantage from Kha'Zix's passive, it's still not even a close fight. Another thing to be considered is that this is with an Udyr running a Hunter's Machete. A lot of Udyrs I see can actually run Doran's Blade for their starting in the jungle, which would make the fight even more one-sided. Next up, we are going against Elise. He has his Q and his E. He starts out with his E, does 2 basic attacks, then uses his Q, does 2 more basic attacks, and uses his Q again, and continues to attack, and as you can see, it's a close fight. However, he is able to defeat Kha'Zix. So we'll run it one more time, doing the same thing for the sake of accuracy. As you can see, Kha'Zix gets very close to being able to kill him. However, he doesn't get his third Q off once again, and he dies before he's able to kill Elise. So here we go one more time, running it in the bush this time, which means we're going to get the advantage from the passive. And as you can see, it's still a close fight. However, we are able to land our third Q this time and able to take out Elise. Next up, we're going against Shyvana, who has her Q and her W. She keeps her W active the whole time and then uses her Q as much as possible to cancel the auto attacks, just like we do with Kha'Zix. And as you can see, she's able to get her last Q off before Kha'Zix is able to get his off and wins in the first fight. Running it again for the sake of accuracy, we're doing the same thing. And as you can see, the fight is pretty much the same. We die just before we're able to land our third Q. Now we're testing it out again in the bush because of Kha'Zix's passive. And as you can see, we're able to survive long enough with Kha'Zix this time to land the third Q and get the kill on Shyvana. Now we're going to be switching over to a couple AP champions, so I'll give you a quick look at the Masteries page that he will be running. He has 24 offense, 6 defense, and 0 in utility. And now here's a quick look at the runes page. Now his runes page is a little bit different than a lot of rune pages that you would normally see, mainly because he had not yet completed his runes page. As you can see, he has 14.9 ability power, and then he has some scaling ability power. But he also has a little bit of health gen and a little bit of mana regen, and then he's got 7.8 magic pen and then a little bit of gold. So next up we're going to be going against Elise, who will start with her Q and her W. She'll lead with her Q, activate her W, switch to spider form, activate her W again for the attack bonus, and then she will wait until her attack bonus wears off before she Qs. As you can see with this route, she's unable to kill Kha'Zix before he kills her. Now we're going to run it again one more time. We're going to do the same thing and lead with the Q and the W, switch to spider form, and go with our W. However, I had him activate his Q sooner this time, so he actually gets the damage for it. And as you can see, it's enough to make the difference that he's able to take out Kha'Zix. Running it one more time, except for this time we're going to be doing it in the bush. However, we're going to use the same sequence as the second time, where we actually use the Q a little bit early. And as you can see in this fight, Kha'Zix is able to actually take out Elise before she can kill him. So for our last test, we're going against Eve. She has her Q and her E. She leads with her E and uses her Q as much as possible, and as you can see, Kha'Zix takes her out very easily. Just for the sake of argument, we ran it one more time in the bush. However, it was very one-sided, and Kha'Zix was able to take her out again as expected. So as a conclusion, I would say that Udyr is a very strong counter to Kha'Zix, and Kha'Zix is a very strong counter to Eve, at least in any straight fight. So if you're planning on doing any level 2 invading, these would be things that I would consider. As far as all the other champions go, I think it's too close to really make a call, because like I said, there's so many different variables to consider that I think it's really going to come down to who can outplay the other player, and what masteries, which runes you have, how much health you have, and a lot of different things like that. So that's going to be it for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think of this series, if you would like to see more videos like this with more champions. If so, let me know specifically which champions you would like to see. I planned on doing one for each of the junglers that you just saw in this video, and then I was also going to go into AD carries and test them out in level 3 straight fights, because I think that would be more accurate than just the level 2. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I will talk to you later.